Welcome back to the Snowpoint Cast. Today we're going to talk about a deck from the 2019 World Championships called Blacephalon, or also sometimes known as Blounds. So yeah, let's get right into it. Before we start, actually, this list is the second place list. Shinato Ito got second place with this list, so super good list. I'm not a massive fan of the deck, honestly. I find it kind of boring, but the list is really strong nonetheless. Okay, so you're playing a Poipole Naganadel line. So you play 3 Poipole with a 70 HP. The first attack, Spit Poison for 1 colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon is Poison. This is the one you're going to be using more often. It's definitely the stronger of the two. However, you do play a Split because the other one has a really useful attack as well. And then Knockout Reviver is actually pretty good as well. So for a Psychic and a colorless, during your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is knocked out, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it. So if you are in a spot where you can have energy on that and you need to attack, it's better that your opponent doesn't take a prize. At least they don't take a prize lead. It's actually a very useful attack that I have only played the deck one time to a cup, but I used that attack a couple times at the cup that I played it to. So you're playing this Poipole as well, 70 HP, same HP, Eye Opener. Look at all your face down prize cards. So it just lets you know your prizes. There's certain things that are really useful to have, especially Beast Rings. If you prize your Beast Rings and don't draw them off of your first 2, that can be really dicey because your end game can kind of get a little bit, kind of get shook up just because you don't have enough attack damage into the late game. But Eye Opener can kind of help you with that for sure. And then for 2, Peck does 20 as well. So you're playing a split on your Naganadels as well. So you play 3 of this Naganadel. It's 130 HP. Great Pokemon. Charging up is the ability. Once during your turn before you attack, you may choose a basic energy card from your discard pile and attach it to this Pokemon. So it's just more of that acceleration because Blacephalon attacks based off the amount of energy in play and then it lost zones it. So just being able to ramp up that energy just so you can do lots of damage is really solid. And then it also is... It doubles as a psychic attacker as well, because there are some matchups that you really like to attack psychic weakness into. In particular, Mewtwo GX, if they don't have a Jirachi, being able to swing with this into Mewtwo can one-shot a Mewtwo. So if they don't have Jirachi GX, this kills a Mewtwo if you're at 3 prize cards remaining, because you do 80 plus 80, 160 times 2 is 320, which kills the Mewtwo. So then you're also playing 2 of this Naganadel-GX, so it's got 210 HP. Ultra conversion is pretty good. So once during your turn, you may discard an Ultra Beast card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. So there are points in the game where you already have a fully set up board and you don't need a bunch of Ultra Beasts in your hand. Like if you are playing a 4th 5 line, so no matter what, you're going to have an extra Naganadel at least, and then maybe even more, because usually you only have 2 of these guys out on the board, and once that's set up, there's not a ton of gust effects in the format other than Counter Catcher. Not Counter Catcher. What is it? Custom Catcher? Yeah, Custom Catcher. So usually they're safe on the bench, and once you get 2 set up, they're kind of just rocking for the whole game. And then you get that option to discard those and then draw some more cards, which is really nice. And then Venom Shot is a great attack, really possible to use this attack in this deck. So for 1 Psychic and 3 colorless, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 170 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So really great to kill a Dedenne-GX. That's the main reason you're going to be using that, is just to kill straight, just take 2 prizes. It's really solid. You play 1 Psychic Energy so you can Beast Ring it, but you also play Beast Energy, which can be a Psychic or a Fire for the Blacephalon. It's just like a Rainbow Energy for Ultra Beast. Okay, so speaking of Ultra Beast, you're also playing 3 Blacephalon-GX. So Blacephalon-GX got 180 HP for 1... Actually, let's talk about Injection GX. You're very unlikely to use it, but it's possible. For 1 Lightning, it has to be the Beast Energy. Add a prize card from your opponent's discard pile to their prize cards face down. So you really don't want to use that. If you're using that, you're probably in a really dicey situation. And then as well, Burst GX on the Blacephalon does essentially the same thing, except it just aggresses the prizes for you. So it's probably better to be doing that. The only situation where that might be better to do it with a Naganadel is because of the HP difference. If the Naganadel might live and the Blacephalon might die. So anyway, 180 HP, Bursting Balloon for 1 fire. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused, so not an awful attack for 1 fire. Not crazy good, but not awful either. The confusion can sometimes buy you a turn. And then Fire, Mind Blown. Put any amount of fire cards attached to your Pokemon in the lost zone. And then this attack does 50 damage for each card put in the lost zone this way. So really strong attack. It just does 50 times. That's why your ramp is so good and why Beast Rings are so important. But yeah, you just blow up anything. If you're discarding, or if you're lost zoning 6 fire energy, you're doing 300 damage, which kills, I think, everything in the format. So just really solid damage there. And then Burst GX for 1 fire, discard 1 of your prize cards. If it's an energy card, attach it to 1 of your Pokemon. So cool ramp, and then also just essentially is take a prize with that additional ramp potentially. Let's bring 2 Heatran-GX. So this is a great sweep attacker as well. You're pretty much using this for the GX attack, but it is really, really strong. So 190 HP. Burning Road, once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to your active spot, you may move any amount of fire energy cards attached to your other Pokemon to it. So it's, you can go from 0, switch to the active, and then ramp a whole bunch for Hot Burn. Steaming Stomp for Fire Colors does 130, but Hot Burn is the main reason you play this guy. This attack does 50 damage times the amount of fire energy attached to this Pokemon. So again, just like a great one-shot potential. Like if you're able to take a 2 prize or maybe even a 3 prize knockout off a tag team with this, that's the main reason that it's used. However, you can also, one of the things that you can do with this card is like, because it doesn't loss on the energy after you use it, this can be your early game attacker. So you can swing with this early. Even if it dies, at least the energy goes back to the discard pile so that you can ramp it again with Naganadel and then loss on it later with the Blacephalon. So if you have the option, this is the better early game attacker, but they're both just great attackers in different situations. So on a support Pokemon, you're playing 1 Dedenne-GX. Dedenne-GX is really good. Staple card for a lot of decks in the format just because the ability is so strong. 160 HP, Dedenne change. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench, you may discard your hand and then draw a fresh 6 cards. So just really powerful ability, crazy strong. And then you can't use either of the attacks, so we're not going to talk about them. You do play 1 Mew as well, so 60 HP, bench barrier, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by your opponent's attacks. So Venom Shot is a really popular attack. Mewtwo tag team plays that just so that it can utilize that attack. And getting things killed, especially your Dedenne, is really bad sometimes. And even your support line, if your Naganadels go down early, it can be really bad for your late game as well. So just being able to protect those guys against the amount of snipe that there is in the format. There's not a ton, but the snipe that there is pretty good. Venom Shot in particular can kill a Naganadel or it can kill a Dedenne, and that's just not what you want. And you can also attack with Mew, so Psi Power, 1 colorless, put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So that can be good. I've definitely used that to a lot of effect. Good to keep in mind, but not an attack you're going to be using very often. Okay, so moving on to some of the trainers. Starting off with 4 Mysterious Treasure. This is a broken card in this deck. It's one of the best cards in the deck, if not maybe the best card in the deck. Discard a card from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Psychic or Dragon Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand. So it finds your whole Naganadel line, which is amazing. And then also discards cards because you want the fires in the discard so that Naganadel can ramp them and they can get onto your board. So it just has a lot of synergy with the deck, really, really strong. It can also grab Mew as well, which is kind of cute. Also playing 4 Custom Catcher. So this is the only Gust effect in the format. I believe there might be other ones, but they're not popular or good, I don't think. But you can play 2 Custom Catchers at once, and then if you play 2 cards, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with your active Pokemon. So it's just a Boss or Lysander or Gust effect, which is really good. You have to have 2 of them, but with an Naganadel draw and the amount of just straight draw in the deck, it's not that hard to find 2 at once. And then if you play 1, you can draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. So not something that you'll often be doing. Usually you want to save the 2 together. I mean, if you prized 1, maybe potentially drawing until 3 if you're in a dicey spot, but usually you want to keep them so that you can use them together for that Gust effect to kill something big. Just playing 3 Cherish Ball. So search your deck for a Pokemon GX, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Just another consistency card. Finds your Heatran, Blacephalon, Naganadel, or Dedenne. So Dedenne for draw, but everything else just as an attacker, or Naganadel for draw as well, actually. And then also playing 3 Beast Ring. So you can only play this card if your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prize cards remaining. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to one of your Ultra Beast, then shuffle your deck. So just crazy ramp. If you have multiple of these cards in your hand and your opponent's killed a Blacephalon, a Blacephalon, or Naganadel, or Heatran, or a Dedenne even, the comeback potential with this card is crazy because you can just go, let's say you have 1 on a Blacephalon. If you have 2 of these, you ramp 4 more, plus a Naganadel attach, plus an attach return, you're doing 350 damage, which kills everything in the format. So amazing, amazing card in the deck, really, really strong, and that's why you play 3. Playing 1 Reset Stamp as well, so this is another great card. Your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and then draws a card for each of their remaining prize cards. So it's kind of a late game disruption card. Kind of hurts your opponent late game. And you only play 1 because you only want to really use it late game. You definitely don't want to refresh your opponent's hand in the middle game most of the time. Sometimes you can if they have a massive hand, but mostly it's for that end game scenario when they have like 7 cards in their hand and you're like, you probably have WinCon in your hand. I'm just going to shuffle those back and give you 1 or 2 cards so that you probably don't have WinCon anymore. Okay, in the stadium cards, we're playing 2 Ultra Space. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for an Ultra Beast card, reveal it, put it in their hand. So just another Pokemon consistency. Finds your whole Naganadel line, as well as Blacephalon. So that's most of your Pokemon in your deck. It's just a really strong stadium in this deck. Speaking of strong stadiums, we're also playing 1 Heat Factory because this card is broken. So it's a Prism Star Stadium, which means you can only play one, but once during each player's turn, that player may discard a fire energy card from their hand. If they do, they draw 3 cards. So obvious synergy with the Naganadel, but then also just really solid draw into the mid game while you are also ditching those fire energies, which you want to do. You're seeing a bunch more cards, so just a really, really strong card for sure. You're also playing 4 Welder. This is the backbone support of the deck. I lied. Mysterious Treasure isn't the most broken card in the deck. It's Welder. Welder, attach up to 2 fire energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you do, draw 3 cards. So that card is just insane. One of the best cards ever printed. Welder is just so good. And again, with the fire ramp, I mean, you just want to get a bunch of energy on so that you can be one-shotting things with Blacephalon. If you're killing tag teams, that means you're prize trading favorably because it's a 2-prizer. So even if they get a counter KO, it's for 2 when you've taken 3. So just a great ramp card, getting a bunch of fire. And then also with the card draw, helps a lot with the deck. It's just probably the best supporter in the deck, maybe even the best card in the deck. So you play 4 Cynthia as well. Shuffle your hand to your deck, then draw 6. Everyone loves Pont. Just solid draw, shuffle draw. It's just good. You're playing 1 Lillie as well. So draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. So this is back when you could use supporters on turn 1. So it was pretty solid just being able to draw a bunch of cards on turn 1. And then you're also playing 1 Hapu. So look at the top 6 cards of your deck, put 2 of them in your hand, and then discard the other card. So it helps you find pieces, right? You are kind of a combo deck. You need to find your Naganadels, you need to find your Beast Rings, but once you do set those up, the Hapu getting the fires in the discard, you play a ton of energy, so the odds that you're going to be discarding fire off of Hapu is also quite strong. Okay, so moving on to the energy. You're playing a ton of energy because you lost on your energy as you attack, so you have to play a lot in order to sustain your mid and late game. So you're playing 14 fire energy, which seems like a lot, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you get to draw off Heat Factory, and then also just being able to discard it off Mysterious Treasure. It's your main attacking energy, so you just play 14 because it's really good. You're also playing one of those Beast Energy I was talking about earlier. So the Ultra Beast that this is attached to does 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Really strong card. Can potentially save your threshold from going over. Like if you have, instead of lost zoning an additional fire, you can keep that on your board, and then have this 30 damage to maybe even just keep 1 extra, which is really nice, especially if you're getting into that late game. Like I said, you can be a little tight on energy, so it's great to just save that, and even if it goes down, at least you have the Naganadel to recover it. And they're also playing 1 Psychic. This is just so you can use Venom Shot with a Naganadel off of a Beast Ring. Beast Ring finds 2 basic energy and attaches them to your Ultra Beast however you want. Oh no, to 1 of your Ultra Beasts. So it's only to 1, but you can get the Psychic and the Fire, attach it to the Naganadel, and then use Venom Shot. That's often an attack that can clean up the game off of a Dedenne-GX if you have 2 prizes remaining, because if you've gotten there, you probably used most of your custom catchers. So it just kind of opens your end game routes up as Venom Shot as an attack. Okay, well, this has been Blacephalon for the 2019 Worlds format. If you have any questions about the deck, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to them. And as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.